This is the 8th grade homework 4-4. I was going to do the notes section, but I thought I'd just go ahead and cheat and do the homework instead. So the slope is 4 on number 1. That is our m. The y-intercept is our b. Whenever I want to write out an equation, my equation is always going to be y equals mx plus b. So plus 1. On number 2, same thing. So there's our slope. Here's our y-intercept. My phone's giving me grief. There we go. So it's y equals m x plus b. Number 3. Here is our slope. Here is b. So I'll write it as y equals m x plus b. Now I could do plus -3, but it's simpler to write it as -3 instead. On to number 4. Now these are some of the more confusing ones, mostly because it's starting to blend together a little bit. We're going to look at our change of y over our change of x. First, I'm going to look at how much all of the y's are changing by. So from -3 to 2, 2 to 7, and 7 to 12, all of these are changing by 5. On the x values, all of those are changing by 6. Except my phone's not letting me right there. Sorry guys, I'm using my phone again because I still don't have a useful iPad. So now I'm going to plug these numbers in real quick. So my change of y was 5 on each one of those. Good lord, my 5s are terrible today. There we go. Still not great, but you know. And my change of x was 6. This is m. What we just found was m. Now for the y-intercept, I'm going to look at wherever x is 0. This is my y-intercept. So my equation for this whole thing is going to be y equals 5/6, which is fun to say, x plus my y-intercept, or just -3. I'm going to do that part in yellow just for whoever's not sure where that came from. On number 5, same thing. I'm going to do my change of y over my change of x. Sorry guys, my handwriting is just terrible on this phone. It's not real great normally, but today's even worse. So I'm going to look at all of my y's and how much they are changing by. This is doing -6 every time. Pretend like those are negatives and like you can actually read my 6. So my change of y is -6. Now my changes of x, I'm going up by 2 every time. So that's my slope right there. I have to change to a thinner pen on this. So I'm going to go ahead and start writing the equation that I've got. I have y equals, well, this part right here is my slope, but -6 divided by 2 is just -3. And then x plus my y-intercept, wherever x is 0, so it's going to be -7 or -7. Both are acceptable. For number 6, same thing. I'm going to write it out one more time. Change of y, my handwriting looks almost better on this, over change of x. Look at my y's first. Each one of those goes up by 1, so my change of y is 1. Get my equal sign in there. Now my x's are all going up by 5. So my change of x is 5. Again, this 1/5, that's m right there. My y-intercept is wherever x is 0. So my b is 2. So my equation is going to be y equals 1/5 x plus my b, or that 2 over there. Now this is what was technically new in this section. We are just trying to write the equation. So I'm going to do kind of the same thing I've been doing. I'm only going to write it once on this though, for this change of y over change of x. And I will continue to use my change of y in blue and my change of x. And I just said it wrong, didn't I? My change of y will be in red, my change of x will be in blue. So this is going to be to find the slope. I'm going to look at how much y changes by. That y changed by change by 4. So a negative 4 will go there. And then change by 2 here. So over 2. So I'm going to go ahead and kind of write this out here. My m is that negative 4 over 2. Well, negative 4 divided by 2 is negative 2. Now I have to find b. My b is wherever this line crosses on the y-axis. Well, it crosses at positive 2. So b is also 2. So now my equation is y equals mx plus b. And again, if you're not comfortable with why that negative 4, where I got that negative 4, because it is easy to get mixed up, that line, the way it is graphed from left to right, it is going down from left to right, so our slope has to be negative. Number 8. So here's my change of y. Here's my change of x. So we went down 3 and went to the right 3. So my slope is going to be 3 over 3. And for those that are wondering about the negative, I'm doing that on purpose. 3 over 3. My slope is just 1. And my slope going down from left to right makes this whole thing negative 1. So that's m right there. Now for b, it's where we cross on the y-axis. So that number is negative 3. So b is negative 3. So now I'm going to write out the equation. Y equals, I could do negative 1x or just negative x. I'm going to write the negative 1x for now. Plus b, which is just minus 3. Number 9, same thing. I'm going to look at my change of y first, and I'm going to look at my change of x. So my change of y was 2. My change of x was, looks like 1, 2, 3. And this is positive because it's going up from left to right. So this right here is m. My y-intercept is where I cross on the y-axis. Well, that's crossing at positive 1. So 1 is b, and now I write out the equation. Y equals 2/3 x plus 1, or y equals mx plus b. Number 10 was killing a lot of people because it was a word problem, and I'd be honest, I didn't mean to have it on here, but it's still a good one for you guys to look at. It says the entrance fee to a national park, the entrance fee to the national park is $15. The campsite fee is $15 per night. The total cost Y for the camping trip for X nights can be represented by the equation, that thing. They give it to you. Like, there's not much to go figure out yet. So it says graph the equation. So we have our equation, but the problem with graphing it is we actually need a fraction, whether you like it or not. This is m right here, and I need a rise and a run. So my rise will be 15, my run will be 1. But this is my plus b, my starting point. So I'm going to come over here to the graph, and I'm going to plot my starting point. So it's going to be between that 20 and that 10. There's my 15. And from there, I'm going to use my rise and run. I have to rise 15, run 1. So from 15 to 30, and then over 1. So that's my next point right there. And I can keep doing that pattern as many times as I need to get a nice straight line. So from 30 plus 15 will be 45 over 1. There's my next point. I'm going to do it again. From 45, I'm going to go up 15, up to 60, and over 1. And that same pattern can keep going on and on. So now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go ahead and graph this thing. Hopefully I can hit most of those points. That kind of looks about right. So there's my graph. It says interpret the slope and the y-intercept. Well, m, or the slope, is that 15 per night. Wow, handwriting's just terrible on this. So sorry. My y-intercept is that entrance fee. Good Lord, that handwriting is just something else. And see. Okay, just trust me, that says entrance fee. Now to move on to the backside. Number 11 and number 12 are very similar to the ones that we did the previous week. So I'm going to always look at my y-intercept first for graphing a point. I'm going to start at positive 3. So I'm going to put a dot here at positive 3. My slope is negative 3 over 4, which means I'm going to drop 3, run 4. So that's my change of y. This is my change of x. So my change of y is down 3, and my run is going to be over 4. That'll be my next dot over there. And that's actually plenty to go ahead and graph this with, if I can manage to do this with my terrible pen on this terrible phone. That wasn't too bad, I suppose. Number 12, I'm going to start with my y-intercept, my plus b, which means I have to have a dot at positive 2. Now my slope is positive, so my rise will be 2, and my run will be 3. Now I have my 2 dots, so I'm going to draw my line going through it. These next ones are what we have been doing already. You're just coming up with the equation on these. I'm going to pick up the pace a little bit on this because I need to get through it. I'm going to go ahead and start writing things as, I'm going to start writing out the equation. So I have y equals, well, m is my slope. So I have to drop 1, run 2. So my slope is 1 over 2. And it's negative because this line is going down from left to right. So I'm going to make this negative 1 over 2. Plus my b. Well, the b is right there. We crossed the line there, so it's plus 1. Except I left off my x. Don't leave off your x's. It's a terrible thing to do. Negative 1/2 x plus 1. Number 14. This one I meant to talk about it in class and totally left my mind. Here's your line right here. This line is going straight up and down. What I want you to imagine is if we are talking about a hill or a sloping hill, like you're going to go skiing down it. Well, if our hill is flat, it would have no slope. If we had a hill like this, that's pretty steep. We'd have a higher number for our slope. But if you have a line going straight up and down, that's not a slope, that's a wall. So our answer here is no slope, also known as undefined, which we can represent with a 0 with a line through it. Number 15, I'm going to start writing this one out. So I have y equals, I need my m. So from this dot to this dot, I've got to drop 5, and I have to run 1. So my slope is just 5 over 1. But it is negative because this line is going down from left to right. So it's going to be y equals negative 5 x plus b, where we cross on the y-axis, so plus 1. Number 16. I got a bunch of different dots that I could pick from. Doesn't really matter where you start. You only need 2. So we have y equals, now my m, my rise over my run. I could use any 2 points on this. I'm going to just use the first 2 I've got. I have to drop down, looks like 1, 2, 3. I have to run 1. So 3 over 1 is just 3. But it's negative because it's going down from left to right. So negative 3x plus my y-intercept. Well, we crossed way up here at positive 5. 2 more. Still have y equals mx, or mx. So I've got to find my slope. There's my rise of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Here's my run of 1. So it's just 5 over 1, which is just going to be 5, but it's negative because this whole line is going down from left to right. So negative 5x plus my y-intercept. Well, we cross here on the y-axis, so plus 2. Final one. Y equals, I can pick any 2 points, doesn't matter which 2. So it looks like I rise 1 and I run 1. Well, 1 divided by 1 is just 1. And that line is positive because it's going up from left to right. So 1x plus my y-intercept, which is negative 3 or minus 3. A simpler way to write this would be y equals x minus 3. For now, both of the answers are acceptable. I don't care which. Hopefully that was enough, guys. If you need extra help on this, you got to come to tutorials and let me know.